It's a pleasure to be with the county executive and the mayor once again. And once again, I want to applaud them for their leadership and their hard work over these past couple of days because they're doing an outstanding job. I'd also like to say hello to Senator Joe Robach, who is a colleague of mine from Albany. And he's been very helpful, and we've been staying in touch to make sure we're doing everything we can from the state side. We also have with us Mr. Greg Sayer, who is the chairman of the Public Service Commission. We have Tom Cogden, who is the executive deputy of the Public Service Commission. Lieutenant Colonel John Nitka from the New York National Guard. Dan O'Hara from the Office of Emergency Management, and Lieutenant Sam Spezio from the New York State Police. I'm bad with Italian names. I'm sorry, Mr. Spezio. Let me give you an update on where we are. We said yesterday that there were two main operations that were being undertaken. One was the resumption of power as quickly as possible. Two was a public safety emergency response operation. On restoring power, a lot of progress has been made. Statewide, 68,000 people remain without power. In Monroe, which has been the focus of the effort, in the national grid service area, the number has gone from 170,000 people out of power to 7,000 people out of power. For the RG&E service area, it was 116,000 people out of power. It's now approximately 50,000 people out of power. Yesterday, at about this time, it was 85,000 people out of power. The expectation remains as the expectation that was forecasted yesterday. For RG&E, the hope is by Sunday night, the 90%, the bulk of customers are up and running, and the expectation is with National Grid, by tonight, most people will be up and running. Obviously, the number is down for National Grid to 7,000. On the restoration of power, we have worked very hard and brought in additional crews and personnel from across the state and actually from outside the state. We now have 1,000 roughly additional personnel who are helping on the restoration of power. These are linemen, these are trucks, these are crews that can help do pole repair, etc. We have from Canada and New Brunswick 380 people, from Connecticut 110 people. We have from Massachusetts 40 people, from Pennsylvania 20, from Maine 75 workers. The municipal organizations in the immediate vicinity provided about 50 workers. The New York Power Authority has 35 people who are experienced in this operation. New York City sent up about 60 people. So in total, about 1,000 people have been called in to assist. We still have much work to do with the RG&E clients. We are still forecasting Sunday night. Obviously, the 1,000 workers, we hope, will ensure that we meet that deadline, possibly accelerate it, but the focus is to meet the deadline of Sunday night. Why not bring in more than 1,000? Because at one point you hit a saturation point. You can't manage more people effectively. And we are at that saturation point. I believe we could get more people in, but we couldn't use them and we couldn't manage them because given the task at hand, that is the number of maximum personnel. I will say this. We have gone through storms too many times. I have been governor for about 6 years. My father was governor for 12 years. I have done twice the number of emergencies that my father did in half the period of time. Just think about that. So there's no doubt that there's something going on with the climate and with extreme weather, but we have gone through quite a number of emergencies. And we've learned as we've gone through these emergencies. After Sandy, Storm Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, we made significant changes in the laws and regulations, especially around utility companies. There was a gross disparity at that time in how utility companies were ready to respond. Some had done amazing preparation work, they had backup material, they had backup plans, and some didn't. And this was basically a statewide experience, and we had places in the state that didn't have power for 2 weeks because those utilities were not ready. It wasn't a situation like this, frankly, where we have the advantage of a relatively small area in the state that is actually affected. It's basically Monroe County. So we can draw from all over the rest of the state because they're basically in good shape. During Superstorm Sandy, everybody had a problem. So getting extra crews was very hard because everybody was worrying about their own backyard. I am not pleased with the job that RG&E has done. As a matter of fact, I am displeased with the job that RG&E has done. By law, after Sandy, the utilities are expected to be prepared. They're expected to do drills. They're expected to have plans on how to handle emergencies. Emergencies are no longer emergencies, right? An emergency suggests that it was unexpected and you didn't think this could happen. I say over and over again, there is nothing that could happen that is going to surprise me anymore. 7 feet of Buffalo, 7 feet of snow in Buffalo. Oh my gosh, what a shock. I'm not shocked. I don't think there's anything you could say to me after 6 years in this job that I would find shocking. But you have to be prepared for these types of emergency. We've had ice storms, wind storms, snowstorms, floods, hurricanes. We know what happens. The wind blows, trees fall, branches fall, hit the wires, and the wires come down and people are out of power. We had very high winds, yes, but you know what happens is poles snap, wires come down. You have to be ready to handle that. You know why? Because consumers pay good money to the utility companies, and they have a right to expect when you turn on that switch, the lights are going to come on. That's why you pay your bill. And if the utilities want to provide service to consumers in this state, they have to be ready, they have to be prepared. In my opinion, RG&E did not do what they needed to do to be prepared. We've scrambled, and we have 1,000 workers coming in to work with RG&E and to make up that shortfall. But the Public Service Commission is a state agency that regulates the utilities. The Commissioner of PSC is here this morning. The Executive Deputy is here this morning. And I'm going to ask them to review this operation that's going on now and to conduct a full investigation afterwards as to RG&E's preparedness, RG&E's facility in bringing in other crews and other workers and actually using the mutual aid system. On the other hand, I want to applaud National Grid, which did an extraordinary job. As I mentioned, they had 170,000 people without power, and they are now down to 7,000 people without power. So they've done an extraordinary job. We're going to be asking National Grid to release some of their crews as they're in the area and send them over to assist RG&E in that restoration project. The second operation is the public safety emergency shelter emergency response. The county and the city, I think, have done a very good job on that. The shelters are open, the shelters are staffed. We have transportation for people to be brought to those shelters. So that's worked very well. We have 200 National Guard who will assist on debris removal, working with the county, working with the city. So that's also working very well. As I mentioned yesterday, once we get past the emergency phase, we'll do a damage assessment. And from that damage assessment, we'll see if we're eligible for federal aid. I'm going to be calling the White House today just to put them on notice of this situation and to put them on notice that we're going to be doing a damage assessment, and we'd like them to expedite it and show whatever courtesy and collegiality they can, that if we hit the threshold, there's a minimum threshold of damage that you have to hit. If we hit the minimum threshold once we do the damage assessment, we'd like to expedite any federal aid. Last point is what I said yesterday. Everyone is doing what they need to do. The first responders are doing a great job. They're a little tired. They've been out there, some of them, for 2 and 3 days now. The National Guard are here. They're doing what they need to do, the county and the city. Remember, citizens also have a responsibility here. We are neighbors. It's cold. There are people who have been in a cold house now for 2 days. It's not a bad idea to check on a neighbor, to knock on a neighbor's door, ask if they need any help, especially if you have senior citizens in your community or people who are homebound. Just check on them. Just make sure they're all right. Also, if you think there may be an issue where the house is getting too cold, where you're not comfortable, please call sooner rather than later. Let us arrange the transportation and let us get you into a shelter. Don't wait too long. Don't wait until it's too late. And if you can say a kind word to the first responders who are out there, or a wave or a smile, because they've really been working, and they're not with their families, and often their homes are in worse situation than the people they're helping. So little New York courtesy goes a long way. With that, I'll turn it over to the county executive.
Well, thank you, Governor Cuomo, and thank you for your support in this situation. We truly appreciate it, and we're delighted to have you here today and to provide you with an update and provide the public with an update. From the county side, all the shelters are open and functional. Our facility at MCC is open with large capacity. I want to reiterate what's already been said. Look, it's cold outside. The wind chill is going to be treacherous this afternoon. We're going to have another evening of cold weather. Safety is paramount. Please, if you're home and you're uncomfortable, it's cold in your house, give us a call, come into our shelters. There are shelters throughout the county. The largest one now is at MCC, open and accessible. Last night we had 147 county residents who accessed shelters, but the capacity is there. Call us. Come and see us. If you need assistance, please call 911 and we will be there to help you. We have transportation provided as well if you need transportation. Our responsibility is to make sure that you remain safe, and we're committed to do just that. As we transition forward, I want to let everyone know that in cooperation with the National Guard and our towns and villages, the County of Monroe, our Department of Transportation, and our Environmental Services crew are coordinating a collective effort for debris pickup for our neighbors and throughout the County of Monroe. That effort is being coordinated today. There will be a plan that will be released to the public as well. Today, we'll be working with the National Guard, identifying areas where we can help with cleaning up areas so that the infrastructure is freed up. So we're thrilled to be able to provide that service and to work with our communities to get that job done. Again, it is about community, right? We're one community. We always work together. I can't thank you enough. I've been out on the streets. I've been seeing all of our emergency personnel, our towns, our villages, our city, our county, our state, our governor, all working cooperatively to get this job done. We'll continue that effort. To our neighbors out there, again, this is Rochester, this is Monroe County. You know what? We know how to get things done. We know how to check in on our neighbors. Say hello to your neighbors, make sure they're safe, be safe. One last tip, if you are going to stay in your house and you don't have power, Please don't leave your stoves on. It is not a safe way to heat your house. Please, if you have a generator, make sure it's outside in a ventilated area. Don't put it in the garage with the door closed. Very, very dangerous. Please call us if we can be of any assistance, and we'll be there with you. Thank you.
Mayor Lovely Warren.
Again, thank you, Governor, for your leadership and for supporting our community as we go through this difficult time. We want to thank you for bringing in the National Guard to help many of our citizens with some of their debris removal. They have large trees that are on their property, and having them out there to cut down those trees to help them remove those is something that we truly appreciate all the support. We have about 6,000 people still in the city of Rochester that do not have power. I just left the David Gant Center where we have a shelter. We had about 40 families that we served there last night, and one family of 9. Of course, we think that it is very, very important that our citizens remain safe during this time. We know that the temperature is dropping. We have these shelters open not only in the city but also in the county so that you can get the support, the food, and other things that you need. There's no reason to stay in your home at this time. We have programs and other things available to you across the county, so please utilize those. If you need a ride, Medical Motors as well as our GRTA are providing rides for individuals. We want to make sure that you remain safe. I truly want to thank our emergency response people, our volunteers that have been coming out to help assist in this time of need. I want to thank the Red Cross for all that they have been able to do, and also our restaurants for calling, asking us, do we need food? What is it that we need to help individuals that don't have power at this point in time. I want to thank the county executive for her leadership in coordinating everything here in the county of Monroe, as well as in the city of Rochester at the Emergency Response Center. We know that people are, frustrated at this point in time, but I can tell you that as the governor has indicated, we're all working together to make sure that our citizens remain safe, but also that we have the resources on the ground to get the power up and running the way that it needs to be up and running, as well as giving them food and shelter at this difficult time. I want to thank the governor again for his leadership and his support for our area during this difficult time.
Thank you. My colleague from Albany, the great Senator Joseph Roback.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. Let me add my thanks to all the first responders in the collaborative effort. It really is important. And even to the citizens, oftentimes, while this brings out a challenge, it also brings out the best in people. And I've witnessed firsthand in my travels, people whose power has been restored, now sharing their generator with other people in their neighborhood that may not have power. And so there's a lot of good stories. But certainly, as has been pointed out, as the temperature continues to drop and some people have been without power since Wednesday, there is a lot of attention. So there's really two things. I want to applaud, again, the collaborative effort, and I'm very happy for the approximately 70,000 residents who have been turned on, but I hope we're all working, and I think we are vigorously to get across the goal line to restore the power of the other 50,000 residents in Monroe County, the lion's share in my district, who do not have power, and will move to that. I also want to thank our friends in the media. We want to make sure that we get that information out, that whether you live in the city, Gates, Greece, Arundecoit, wherever it may be, there are people to help you, and I've seen that. People are taking advantage firsthand of the shelters, and they've made them very comfortable and very homey during these tough times, and we need to continue to do that. As a matter of fact, when I leave here, I'm going over to Brighton High School of their own volition, which is allowing people to go there and take showers, charge phones, serve food. Even though they're not a shelter, everybody's doing their part to get through this. So hopefully, with patience, working together, we'll get this done. And lastly, I should have did this at the beginning, I really do want to thank our own Office of Homeland Security, Emergency Preparedness, and the state folks who, when local governments wanted to set up these shelters, were more than willing to deploy not only guardsmen, but cots and other materials so we could take on this need in a holistic approach all across Monroe County. Certainly for some people, this has been very challenging, but we really are making the best of it, and hopefully we're getting to that goal line of full restoration in the relatively near future. Thank you.
Well said. Any questions? Yeah. My point is this. We, as a state, have been through this a number of times. At one point, a weather event like this would have been shocking, and people would have been unprepared for it, and we would have said, this never happened before. How could I have ever known? That is no longer the case. I talk about the new normal in weather is to expect the unexpected. Expect extreme weather. We have gone through a number of events. As I mentioned, I've had twice the number of federal emergencies in half the time that my father had when he was governor, 1982 to 94. So the pattern of extreme weather is to be expected. And utility companies have an added burden today of being ready for emergency situations. You know, utility companies get paid. They get paid when every month a homeowner pays their utility bill. And the homeowner is right to expect that that utility is going to be performing its job. It's the state's responsibility to regulate those utilities, something called the Public Service Commission. And after Hurricane Sandy, we literally changed the law, and we changed the regulations. And we said to utilities, we're going to hold you to a higher standard. We want you ready for these emergencies. Now, an unimaginable situation, meteor comes down, hits a community, God forbid, that's one thing. But what we have here is a severe windstorm, and it is not something that is so extraordinary that it shouldn't have been contemplated. And the utilities have to be prepared. They have to do the training before, and they have to have an emergency response plan that says, if this happens, this is how we will respond. And by the way, I don't consider 3 days to restore power an adequate response plan. 3 days in the middle of the winter in 20-degree temperature, this is a dangerous situation. And we still have 50,000 people who don't have power, and this is a dangerous situation. And we want to prevent these situations from occurring in the first place. And I hold the utilities responsible. This has happened in other parts of the state also. It happened on Long Island. And frankly, it was the accelerant for changing utility companies on Long Island because they were not prepared, they could not handle it, they were wrong in their estimates, and we literally changed the utility. So I wanted an investigation and a review of what happened in this specific circumstance. And look, you have National Grid that is basically dealing with the same thing. I don't want to give too many kudos to National Grid because I've had problems with them in the past, but in this case, National Grid went from 170,000 homes out, which was more than what Rochester had, and they went from 170 to 7. We still have 50,000 people out. So I want to know what happened, because there will be a next time. There will be a next time. At one time we thought, well, this is a once in a lifetime, this will never happen again. We now have once in every 100-year floods every 3 or 4 years, right? The whole paradigm has shifted. Things like this will happen again, and it can't take 3 days. Yes. Well, look, if you're making the other case, you say this was a very significant weather situation, which it was. Wind was very high, near record winds. Significant damage was done, and it takes time to fix the damage. I don't buy that. Well, I buy the facts. There was a significant amount of wind. The wind gusts were very high. My point is, we need to prepare for those circumstances. When the homeowner pays the bill, they're paying a bill that says, when I turn my lights on in the middle of the summer, I expect the lights to come on. And by the way, after a storm, when I turn on my lights, I expect the lights to come on. And that is the job of the utility. It's the responsibility of the utility. It's the responsibility of my government to regulate the utilities to make sure they're doing what they should be doing. And I don't find 3 days acceptable in this situation. Now, we're doing the review. In the meantime, we want the lights back on. So we've brought in 1,000 people from all across the state and beyond the state, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Canada. We can't, frankly, use more than 1,000 people efficiently. We have had situations where we actually brought in more people than we could use. And you saw a lot of crews sitting around drinking a lot of coffee. 1,000 is the saturation level here. But that shouldn't have had to happen. And I believe they should have been better prepared. We'll find out specifically after the investigation. Anything else? I'll ask the mayor or the county executive if they want to respond. Obviously, when the power goes out, the traffic lights go out. And the normal protocol is in the most dangerous intersections, you provide personnel. Obviously, you can't provide police personnel at every intersection. But at the most dangerous, problematic ones, you deploy police. We've used National Guard at times for that operation. We could do that again, but the specifics, I would ask the mayor or the county executive to comment if they want. Do you want?
There was coordination between the state and the county and the city police agencies to help coordinate control of intersections where down power lines were located. And that was a cooperative effort to address those needs. In addition to that, there was obviously significant warnings to all of our residents to not use the roads, and if you were going to use the roads, to use them with caution and to make sure that any intersection that did not have a traffic signal to obey the rules of the road as well. But yes, the law enforcement were dispatched in their coordinated effort to areas that didn't have traffic control devices. All of the coordinated efforts, all of the law enforcement personnel were dispelled throughout the county of Monroe. I understand from speaking with the state troopers and speaking with the sheriff's department, RPD, the towns, everyone was out there doing the very best that they could.
They've also deployed four-way stops at many of the intersections, and this is where we call on our citizens to come together to pay attention and be good stewards, and protect not only yourselves but also other people that are on the road driving. We know that we have some challenges with electricity right now, and we will evaluate this particular situation and see if that is a resource that we need at this point in time to be out there. I think that it's very important to know that this is a coordinated effort between all of our emergency response team and our partners, and we ask our citizens to be partners with us in this.
So look, this is a situation like this. Things happen, things come up, and you have to respond and you have to adapt. If there is an intersection that is especially dangerous, then certainly we'll get police there to help. We have state police, county police, city police, so we'll check the intersection. If it's dangerous, we'll send someone. I'm going to now go see how the National Guard handle a chainsaw, and see if they are any good at it. Thank you very much for taking the time. And again, I want to thank the county executive, the mayor, all the first responders, Senator Roback, National Guard, State Police. Thank you.